We are Local News Radio, WRWH, and W230CT, Cleveland. WRWH, good evening from Local News Radio. We invite you to join us here for this evening for Candidate Forum. White County Chamber of Commerce, along with working in conjunction with the White County News and Local News Radio 93.9 FM, presenting this Candidate Forum. We have two Candidate Forums scheduled for this week and break those up into two different segments. First, tonight will be District 4 White County Board of Education candidates. And we'll be hearing from them and getting their answers to questions that a lot of you have submitted to the Chamber of Commerce for this particular event. The White County Board of Education District 4 candidates, the three people joining us here tonight, qualified as Republican candidates for the May 24th primary coming up. They include James King, Laurin Terry, and Linda Erbele. And Linda is the incumbent for the office. And the Board of Education District 2 candidate John Solomon is unopposed in this election cycle and has not or did not join us or was not or was invited actually, but did not indicate he wanted to join us tonight to have comments during this program. Now we'll start with each of the candidates getting an opportunity to introduce themselves, and we have 3 minutes or so to get those comments going, or to share those comments in the opening statements and get to questions. But before we do that, Beth Truelove, President of the White County Chamber of Commerce. Beth, I want to let you just basically right now do a kind of a welcome for the folks and get us started.
Thank you, Dean. Thanks so much. And I want to take the opportunity to thank these candidates. Running for a public service like this is quite a testament to you and your character. It's a hard thing to do. Board of Education is probably one of the toughest jobs in politics. It's a hard decisions that have to be made on this board. And I just want to thank each of the candidates for taking the time and caring enough about our children to step forward and putting yourself out there to do that. I want to thank WRWH Radio because we're coming to you live on 93.9. Thanks, Dean. And if you're on Facebook, you can watch us streaming live. White County News. Ashley's here with White County News, so we're glad to have our media sponsors bringing you the best local news possible. And we certainly couldn't do it without those guys. So we want to thank you so much, Dean.
All right. Well, appreciate that. I'm not sure we're having some technical difficulties here. Hopefully all that will work out as we go through the evening, but and get the audio synced in and everything for this evening. All right, let's start out, and we will be running through, as I mentioned, questions from the different candidates from this evening, and we just invite you to listen in. These questions will be general questions for each of the candidates to answer, no specific questions for an individual candidate. If you have a question for a particular candidate, then you can get with them and ask that question in person to them. All right, let's, well, first of all, start with the opening comments. And James King, we'll let you, first of all, do the honors of starting off with your opening comments this evening.
I want to thank Beth Truelove and the Chamber of Commerce and Ashley Blair and the White County News for having this debate, because it's always great to get out in front of the people and inform everybody of why we're running for office. Scripture says that for the Son of Man came not to be served but to serve. And running for office is my way of trying to continue following in that example, in those footsteps. My family's been community servants here in White County for generations. My grandfather filled prescriptions for many years, Jim Crane. My great-grandfather's, Roy Satterfield. And so running for office is to try to continue that legacy of service. I am a certified educator. I was brought up in a family of educators. My mother has been teaching for nearly 30 years, is still teaching. And so I was grown up experiencing the challenges that our students and our teachers face. And believe me, I can't tell you how many times my father would cook supper because of my mother's responsibilities at the school, and that in and of itself is a hardship sometimes. And And sometimes people say I take after my father with my sense of humor. But I'm running ultimately to serve. Not because of something that happened a few months ago that I believe has been distorted by a few, but because after September 30th, I had many teachers come up to me privately and under condition of anonymity who shared that they have concerns about what's going on in our schools, but they're afraid to speak up even to their own administration. I watched parents be ignored by our Board of Education on a multitude of other issues, not even related to what I brought up and exposed. And I witnessed as a financial presenter began a statement and said that the presentation was off by several thousands of dollars that couldn't be accounted for. Thousands of our taxpayer funds. I'm running to make sure that every parent has a voice, an actual voice, that they can feel assured that somebody on the Board of Education will actually listen to them. I'm running to make sure our teachers, our great teachers, receive the support that they need to be successful. Whether it's increased funding for school supplies that many teachers have told me they have to afford out of their own pockets, basic things like pencil sharpeners. I'm running to protect our students. And so again, I want to thank you for this time, and I hope to receive your vote on May 24th.
All right. Thank you, James King, for the comments there. Now we'll move over to Laurin. Laurin Terry, let you introduce yourself to the folks out there.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank the White County Chamber of Commerce, White County News, and WRWH for hosting this candidate forum. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. As you said, my name is Laurin Terry, and I'm running for the White County Board of Education. I am a mother and a lifelong resident of White County. I'm not a politician, and I want to leave that part out of my race for the board. I want to be more involved in our school system and help ensure we make the right decisions for all students and teachers. Being a part of the equation directly affects my family. I have 3 children currently enrolled in the White County public school system. Our future is our children. For all of them to succeed, they must receive the best education possible. To ensure this, we must empower our teachers, administrators, and support staff to make the best possible decisions for all of our children. We must also give the staff all the resources possible to enable them to be warrior strong. I will dedicate my efforts, if elected, to support everyone in the system. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Let's want to continue. Get the comments, opening statement here from Linda Erbele.
I'm Linda Erbele. I've lived in Georgia all my life. Got to White County in 2005 when I married John Erbele. I've worked as a freelance writer and an engineer with the telephone company. And from 2012 to 2018, I worked for the White County News, and I covered the school board, and I learned how the schools were measured and how they were funded, how budgets are made. So I felt like I could add an adult voice to the board. So I ran in 2018. This is the 4th year of my first term. During the time I've been on the board, we have gotten through COVID by offering students and parents both virtual or in-person options. With the help of the County Commission, we've increased the number of school resource officers. We acquired a federal grant to fund pre-K classes at 2 of our elementary schools, which is great for working parents. And we're on track to double our rainy day fund, which is what we use when in times of recession to keep from having to fire teachers, which is great. I don't have an agenda or an axe to grind. I don't have any employees. I don't have any relatives employed by the school system. I don't have any children in the school system. I just offer balanced representation for students, teachers, parents, and taxpayers. And I appreciate y'all offering us this forum, and I appreciate the listeners out there.
Great. Appreciate that, Linda. And as I want to mention too, the fact that as we go through the forum here, a lot of the times I'll just call you maybe by first name because we all know each other, and there's, I think, not that we're trying to make it too informal, in other words, but just let you know if we call you just by the first name there. We're going to move on to our questions for this evening. And remember, you got 2 minutes to answer each of the questions, so think about what you're going to say, and Beth, who's keeping the time, will give you a 60-second mark time for you to wrap up and get your thoughts finalized as we go through the questions. And we will start out. I think, Laurin, you'll be first to answer the first question.
We'll let James start.
Let James? All right. We'll let James start off with the first question here. All right. The question is, what experience do you have with complicated budgets? And when you're given a complicated budget for the school district, what will be your process in determining how it's a good budget for the system, if it's really a good budget for the system? Understand?
I believe so, yes. So right now, a lot of the work I do currently involves revenue management. I'm responsible for a budget that, without going into specifics, is comparable to that of several of our schools combined. I manage multiple departments at my current place of employment. And the first thing I always want to make sure is that there's no variances in our budget, that everything can be traced back to a source. If there's money that I'm not quite sure where it's, I'm sorry, sorry. If you're not watching, their lights are flickering on the air.
Hopefully we're okay. We're still...
I want to, like I said, I always want to make sure that everything's accountable for. If there's things that I have questions about, I always go back to the source and ask those questions. And I want to make sure to regularly audit budgets and make sure that everything can be explained and again, is accountable for ultimately. And even more so since it would be our taxpayer dollars fueling the budget.
All right. Okay, moving on to Laurin, your response to that two-point question or two-part question there. So answer that however you like.
To be completely honest, I've been to a couple of board meetings, and the school budget really confuses me. There's a lot of working parts to it. I look forward to kind of understanding that more. But in my head, I'm a third generation. We have a construction company. I'm the third generation to it. I'm the Secretary of Treasurer. I have to deal with we're a multi-million-dollar company. I have to deal with the books on it. I have to deal with the spending. I have to deal with the bills. So I think that it will be okay and easy for me to pick up on and learn the school budget and how that works. I would kind of apply my knowledge from the construction company into that. I watch pennies, even though we have lots in our going through our system and all of that. But it's easy to watch pennies and to keep everything accounted for. I think that I would be a good asset to that, and I could learn that pretty quickly.
All right, very good. Linda Erbele, your response to the question this evening.
I had to learn the budget process while I was reporting on the school system. And it is very complicated, a mix of state, federal, as well as local taxpayer funds. And then the eSPLOST, probably 40% of is funded by tourists. It's just something we watch. Every month we begin working on the budget. The school system has a $40 million budget. It takes over $3 billion every month just to operate. And 70% of that is spent on instruction, which is as it should be.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Moving on to our next question. Let's I'm going to move on to the question about what do you think? What are the school district's greatest capital needs right now, and how do you think those needs should be addressed? Laurin, we'll start with you.
That's a very good question. I think capital needs. in our district. I honestly, I don't want to say I don't know. I mean, I can tell you what I feel the needs are in the county, but mainly our teachers need to be supported. They need parents involved in the schools. They just need help all the way around. I don't know a whole lot about that, but I'll find out.
Okay, very good. Linda Erbele, your response.
The biggest need is salaries. We could add teachers, reduce class sizes, add school resource officers if we had more money for salaries. E-SPLOST and SPLOST dollars can only be spent on capital expenses. That's why we're building a new building. We're building that with with SPLOST money. The money that can be spent on the taxpayer money is spent on salaries. So that is our biggest need. We balance that, against the needs of the taxpayers, so as not to increase taxes. So we have adequate teachers right now. We could do more if we had more money, but we don't. Nobody's planning to raise taxes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, James, let's move to you. Get your...
No, but he has an answer.
I'm so
He has
sorry.
an answer. That's all right. All right, James. All right, your answer or your response to the question.
Like I said in my introduction, I've directly talked to a lot of teachers privately, and they feel like they don't have the support they need to be able to often adequately purchase classroom supplies. Teachers have said they can't purchase markers or crayons or even pencil sharpeners. They're having to purchase these things out of pocket, and that's what happens a lot of times throughout the state. It's a common issue facing our teachers today, is having to buy classroom supplies out of pocket. I want to identify where wasteful spending is occurring, if at all, and cut that so we can provide more resources to be able to improve upon the ability our teachers have to purchase classroom supplies and other necessities to adequately fulfill their job of teaching our students. And then because White County has truly great teachers here, you can travel 30 minutes from us down to Hall County, and their teachers get paid $5,000 a year more than we do here for the starting pay. Again, I want to figure out where wasteful spending has occurred, cut that where possible, and increase the salaries for our teachers as well.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on. Get another question here. And again, a reminder, these questions were submitted by you, the citizens, sent to the Chamber of Commerce, and we're issuing those out or sharing those with the candidates here for this evening for them to answer. And they're general questions, not any questions for specific candidates. Next, the question is, what do you know about charter schools and their mission, and what is your experience with charter schools in this district? Linda, I believe you go first.
Well, we have the Mountain Education Charter High School, which is a wonderful school. They help our students that decide they can't do day-to-day schooling anymore. So I have mixed feelings about charter schools. Often they are started by a group of parents who are unhappy with the local school system, and they get money to start a school, and then when those kids graduate on to other schools, those parents lose interest and the other parents don't necessarily take over. So charter schools need to be held to account for the money they spend and the grades that they get. Again, Mountain Ed is a second chance school. It does a wonderful job in helping the students in White County that don't go to regular school go on to become productive citizens.
All right. Very good. Okay. James, I believe we'll go to you and get your comments for that particular question.
It's my understanding White County is a charter school system, and we do have charter schools within the county, and that gives us a little more leeway, as my understanding, gives us a little more leeway to be able to provide additional resources or to be able to fulfill certain needs than we would be able to do otherwise if we were not a charter school system. As a substitute teacher, I was able to work in our schools directly with our students and our teachers for 2 years. And as such, I was able to learn firsthand the culture and the environment of each of our schools here in White County.
All right. And Laurin?
I'll follow Linda, the Mountain Education, the Mountain Charter School. I've known a lot of children that have went through there. Phenomenal program. I know several of the employees up there. Absolutely, like you can't say enough good things about some of the teachers up there and the staff up there. I think they do wonderful work, and they do make productive members of society when a lot of people wouldn't give certain children a chance. And I value that school a lot. I mean, that's very important to me. And I don't personally have experience, but I do know people, and I really feel like that's a good place.
Okay. Very good. All right. Next question we have here is, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges in this school district? What are the opportunities and challenges for the school district? And what do we go? James first this time? James?
I think the greatest challenge we have is, again, providing the funding that our teachers need to meet basic needs in their classrooms and to be competitive in regards to salary with other counties surrounding us. I think that there's definitely room for improvement for teachers to feel like they can come forward and share concerns they may have with their administration, with board members. I believe that we need to place additional emphasis on protecting our students as well. Hiring more school resource officers, working with the White County Sheriff's Office to develop a training program for any teacher who might want to be able to protect our schools if the unfortunate need might arise.
All right. Laurin, your answer there.
To be honest, I feel like the biggest struggle in the school system would be probably communication. Not that it's bad between parents and teachers. I think that it stops. The parents feel like they can't approach people, or the teachers feel like they can't approach the students, or people are tiptoeing and things like that. I feel like that we're all one. We all have one goal, and that's for our children to succeed, and that's our future. And that is extremely important that the line of communication stays open between the teachers, the administration, the students, the parents, the Board of Education. I mean, I would really, really love for parents to start coming to these Board of Ed meetings and just be involved. Just get to know your students, their teachers, their administration, and just be involved in the school system. And I think that that's where the lack is, that I think teachers would really appreciate parents to be involved and communicate.
Okay. And Linda, your response.
I think we have a great opportunity for parental involvement. Parents want to be involved, and schools are actually measured on the number of parents that do get involved. So our schools welcome parents, and they want to hear their opinions. They want to meet with the parents. As for challenges, we just had a presentation today on vaping, and it is so culturally acceptable among children, and it's so bad for them. And I know they don't believe the adults when we tell them, but it's causing a lot of problems in the schools. As one principal said, when you go in the boys' restroom and it smells like strawberries, So, and sometimes when the vape is taken from the child, the parent comes and says, "That was my vape and I want it back." It's it's a problem all over, and it's really a challenge to come up with a punishment that's not too harsh, but that helps the student.
Okay. All right. Next question we have has to do or deal with Board of Education, their meeting agenda. It says, what do you think about recent BOE agendas? Are the right issues being placed on the agenda for the school board to focus on? If not, what would you change about them? Laurin, I believe you get the first shot at this one.
Oh, I think that the agendas are spot on. I think that they are very accurate with what's going on, what needs to be discussed, I feel like they are right where they need to be. I agree with all of them. I mean, like the subjects that are on there are very important to today. They're very relevant, and they're what parents want them to be discussing and want them to be citing on. I certainly think they are, yes.
Okay. And Linda, your response?
We need to discuss every month the budget, things that need to be purchased or that kind of thing. We need to discuss policies, because our policies, some of the policies, there's so many of them, they have to be updated every time the legislature meets. So that has to occur. So our policies come up. We discuss personnel, and we also get a presentation from each school, not every month, but each school per month. And we hear about our federal programs and nutrition. If there's something else that needs to come up, then the superintendent's secretary can be notified within 24 hours of the meeting, and we can get it on there.
All right. James, get your input on that question.
Well, I believe that there's not a lot of input from parents and members of our community in policies affecting the day-to-day operations of our schools. Take last month, for example, the Board of Education renewed the sexual education curriculum, but not a single parent gave input on that before it was voted on. I think that as Board of Education, to operate effectively, you have to have transparency. I remember just a few years ago when the Board of Education decided to vote no to live streaming the Board of Ed meetings. And that was a huge concern for me even then. I think that if we want to ensure that there's faith and trust in our school system, that we need to be able to be more transparent and to seek the input on any issue facing our schools.
And I'd like to respond to that. That policy was on the table for 30 days. And every policy that is considered is put on the table for 30 days, and it's advertised on our agenda. So any parent who wants to come in and give us comments, we'd be glad to hear them. Okay. And there was plenty of opportunity before we approve it.
Okay, we're not debating, so we'll stop right there. We'll try not to. We're only doing the forum here and not a debate. So we'll stop right there. So, all right, next, move on to our next question here. What information do you have about the district and specifically the area that you're running to represent? What do you have information about that, and what does this information tell you about what's needed or need to happen in your district? Linda, I believe you go first here.
Yeah. Well, I've lived in Sawteenacoochee, which is District 4, since 2005. I'm active in the Sawteenacoochee Community Association. I'm also a member of the Friends of the Library. I'm on the White County Library Board and the Regional Library Board, and I'm a member of Rotary. So I keep feelers out to people about the needs. Although I represent District 4, I'm open for conversations from any parent countywide. If I run into them in the grocery store, my phone number is on our website. I'm happy to hear from people.
Okay. James?
Well, my wife and I closed on our house about a year ago. Lived in White County now for for a long while. But we are very involved in our community. We are members of Bethel Baptist Church, and I'm heavily involved in promoting tourism to Helen and to the northern part of our community. I've been involved in a number of civic organizations over the years here in White County, and right now we have always had a desire to build relationships with our neighbors and our friends, and whether they vote for me or not, I want to get to know the people in the community that I live in.
All right. And Laurin, we'll move over to you.
My family and I have lived on the same road. Actually, the entire family lives. We call it the compound. We all live right there. The business is right there. We stay. I mean, like it's that we stay in the district. But I talk with parents all over the county. I deal with. I speak with, like Linda said, the grocery store. I talk to everybody at the grocery store. I really like spending my time in the grocery store or away. That's my alone time. But I go to all the sporting events of my kids. I talk with parents there. I feel like I do a lot in our community. It's not really it's a necessary. It's something I feel like I want to do. I don't want credit for any of it. I don't want to. I'm around, and I talk with everybody. I speak with everybody. My kids have kids over, and I hear about their day-to-day life and as students, and I feel like I'm just a big part of the community.
All right. Good. All right. Thank you for your comments there. Let's see. I think we got through that one. All right. Next question, and it deals with. Well, I'm trying to figure out which question we want to do next here. How about teacher performance? Let's look at that. I had a question about how should teacher performance be measured, and what are some of the challenges inherent with evaluating teachers? James, I believe you go.
Well, often teacher performance evaluations are very subjective to opinion, and I know that they're hard to do without that subjectivity, because often lesson plans or teachers are evaluated based on their classroom management skills, based on how well they interact with their students, and with a number of other factors like that just depending on the weather outside can impact a teacher and how their students would respond to the lesson. I think we need to evaluate. I think there needs to be multiple evaluators instead of just one administrator at a time. And I think that we need to find a way to make it more objective instead of subjective.
Okay. Laurin?
Teacher performance, when it's based upon the performance of the students on certain tests, that bothers me. As a child, I was not a good test taker. I could know this stuff, and you put a test in front of me, it was like I didn't know anything. And so if the teacher was based on my performance, they're not going to evaluate very well. But I think that there's other ways to evaluate besides test taking from the children, because that's just not always it. I think our teachers are absolutely phenomenal all the way around. I think that, their evaluations should be done, just in the classroom setting, not anything to do with tests. Just, I think they're phenomenal.
All right. Linda?
We have a state-approved teacher evaluation system. Test taking is a small part of it, and there are other parts. They're also watched by several of the administrators, and that's part of their evaluation.
Okay. All right. Another question we have here. We're going to try to get as many of these in try to do this within the hour here. But the next question has to do with your thoughts about to what degree are students in this school district on track for post-secondary readiness, and how do you know that? And Laurin?
I think our school system is doing a wonderful job getting them ready, but I also think that our school system doesn't push the 4-year school. I mean, our school system partners with North Georgia Tech to do some of the more hands-on the like construction, the linemen, all these things, the welding. I think that those are important as well. Some kids don't want to go to a 4-year college. That's great. That's fine. You do what suits you, or just go to work. But I think that our school system is preparing all children all the way around. I think that we're doing a phenomenal job for preparing all children for the next level.
Okay. Linda?
And ask me the question again.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. The question was about to what degree are students in the district on track for post-secondary readiness, and how do you know this? I don't know why the person wanted to ask that second part, but anyway, go ahead.
Of course, we do offer dual enrollment both at the colleges and the technical college. And even if students aren't interested in participating in dual enrollment, they have the opportunity to take AP classes or not. They have the opportunity to take the SAT and the ACT, which is one way to determine if they're ready. But our counselors work with the students to determine what they want next. So that's how we know, and I think our school system is doing an excellent job.
All right. James?
Well, I've worked with a lot of White County graduates. I manage a lot of White County graduates currently. I think that our school system does an excellent job of preparing students for college and for more desk-type jobs. I think there needs to be greater emphasis placed on the vocational programs. I believe that White County has amazing, outstanding vocational programs, but I've talked to a lot of business leaders here in the community who wish that we would offer more programs. And so I want to sit down if elected and speak with business leaders and see where the needs are that they believe that we have as a community and work to develop programs to meet those needs.
Okay. All right, next question. Let's see. It's about what training do school leaders need to perform the fair teacher evaluation? So I'm not sure you understand that. I'm not sure whether I understand that or not, but what training do school leaders need to perform, the training that they need to have, I guess, to perform that teacher evaluation?
I thought Linda was next. Was that? I mean, I'll go. I just.
That's right. I'm sorry, Linda. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
problem.
Thanks for keeping me straight.
When the teachers are hired, they work with the principal and they understand how they're going to be evaluated.
Okay.
We take new hires right out of college. So I think colleges and then experience on the job is giving them what they need to be evaluated.
Okay. All right. Now, James, we'll go to you.
Yes, so I definitely believe that at the time a teacher is hired, that they need to, there shouldn't be any questions about how they would be evaluated throughout their position. And I believe that I think that the Board of Education should look at the current evaluation process, see if there's any need to tweak it. If there is, then let's make adjustments as needed. But I think that as far as the process of evaluating, I believe we need to try to make it more objective instead of subjective.
Okay. All right, Laurin.
I think that when a teacher goes to school for the 4 years, they understand what the evaluation process is. I think that when they're hired on, it should be clear and understood when they sign their contract. I don't think there should be any gray areas or any surprises. I think that everything should be right there in black and white. But I think that they're prepared for that when they get out of college.
Okay. All right, let's see. Our next question has to do with, it says, what are the outputs that matter most to you, and how will you be accountable for them as a school board member? I guess, James?
When you ask about the outputs, I assume you mean a student after they graduate?
I suppose that's the question I have here. I would think that would be right,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I believe that our graduates need to be prepared to enter into today's workforce. I think that's important. They need to be prepared to enter into college to be successful if that's the path they choose to do so. But ultimately, I think we need to make sure that they are prepared and equipped for success in their personal and career endeavors after graduation.
Okay. Laurin?
I think that our graduation rate speaks for itself on how well our children are prepared for the real world. They're succeeding very well and doing very well. I think a lot of our children are very productive members of society, and a lot of them tend to stay in our community, and our community is thriving. And I think our school system has a lot to do with that.
All right. Linda?
Well, we have some state measurements, the College and Career Readiness Index, which we are doing well on. That's one measurement that's important. The graduation rate is another measurement that's important. If we graduate students who want to come back to White County and work as productive citizens, then we're succeeding. And that's the measurement that matters to me.
All right. A few more questions here to go for the evening. And again, thank you for joining us here for the White County Chamber of Commerce, along with White County News and WRWH 93.9 FM candidate forum for the Board of Education District 4 candidates. The next question we have in your past professional experience, what criteria do you use to make decisions about hiring people, retaining goods and services, or the effectiveness of a course of action that you might take?
I believe Laurin was next.
Laurin's next, I think, yeah.
Past experiences with hiring and firing people? I don't have that. That's not my position at work. That's not what I do. That's not, I count money and tell people to stop spending money. I don't hire and fire. That's a very difficult job. The firing part is. Hiring, I think that making the best decision sometimes is just as hard as firing somebody. But that part I don't really have experience with it in my past career.
Okay. All right, Linda?
Let me be clear. The Board of Education hires and fires the superintendent only. Her employees, or his, but ours are Dr. Burkett's employees, work for her. And the Board of Education doesn't tell those employees what to do. Now, we can certainly recommend to Dr. Burkett whether employees are working or not. So that's how we only have one employee, and that's the superintendent. That said, I did have 20 years with the telephone company. I had 15 people reporting to me. The telephone company had very strict practices about documenting behavior, warning, that kind of thing. So I do have experience in it. As far as hiring people, it's a crapshoot. You interview somebody who can be excellent at an interview is not necessarily somebody who's going to be on the job on time, or maybe somebody that presents well but watches the clock. You do the best you can do with hiring.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. All right, James, your response.
Well, I actually do have hiring and unfortunately firing experience in my current position. I've hired a number of great, successful people who I welcome to my team any day. The most important trait I look for in an interview is not necessarily their experience, although that's very important, but their willingness to grow as an individual and to challenge themselves in their career and to succeed as best they can. That's the most important traits to me in hiring people. As far as firing is concerned, it is a very unfortunate thing. I'm thankful that where I work, there are very clear guidelines, very clear steps to get to that process. I know there are in our school system, and thankfully, as Linda said, that's not something that Board of Education would need to worry about, with the exception of the superintendent.
Okay. All right. Another question we have here is, what are the factors on which you will base your decisions as a school board member? What are the factors used in that? Linda, I believe you go first.
What's best for the students? That's the first thing. What's good for the parents is second. I want to make sure that the teachers are cared for and know it. And I also want to balance the needs of the taxpayers.
All right. James?
My first and foremost priority as a Board of Education member will always be our students and teachers. And so any policies or any issues facing our schools, I want to make sure that there's a clear understanding of how any issue would affect the students and teachers, and also how our community interacts or perceives those issues. I want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible. But that's how I would evaluate every issue facing me, is again, how it would affect our students and teachers and our community in general.
Okay. Laurin?
As a board member, if elected, my loyalty would be to our students and our teachers. Then my next number 2 spot would be the taxpayers. That would be the parents, everybody, to make sure that I'm not carelessly spending their money, that I'm not just blowing everything. But first and foremost would be the students and the teachers.
All right. We have a question here. Let's see. The next question has to do with describe your view of the roles of a school board and the superintendent. And let's see. James, I believe you go first.
I believe that there's a lot of cooperation that needs to be held. The superintendent is ultimately the CEO of our schools. He or she, in our case, ultimately makes decisions that impact the daily interactions between our teachers, our students, and our community. Our school board needs to set clear policies when needed. They need to ensure that our community is as involved as it can be, that there's transparency when possible, or wherever possible, and ultimately hold our school officials accountable. But we need to have a lot of trust, and we need to be able to have faith in our superintendent and the other school officials under the superintendent.
Okay. Laurin?
Do you care to repeat the question?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
The question, no problem. Describe your view of the roles of the school board and the superintendent.
Okay. The school board creates policies and a budget. The superintendent, like James said, is the CEO. In my head, it's all business. The CEO, that's the boss. That's the person that makes the rules. That's the person that carries out the rules. The board makes sure that she's following those. The CEO answers to the board. I feel like that is plain and simple, kind of. I don't really explaining it. You're just going to over-explain it, but that's my take on it, and I see it as it's business.
All right. Linda?
The school board does set policy, determine budget, make spending decisions. We do approve final hiring and firing, but the superintendent is in charge of all of that, and we either take her recommendation or talk about why we don't.
Okay. All right. A couple of more questions here before we get some final comments for the evening. Next question is someone submitted, if a parent or a principal comes to you regarding, for example, maintenance issue of a particular campus, situation involving a particular teacher, how do you see your role as a school board member in resolving this issue? Laurin, I believe you're first.
If a parent comes to me and says that there's an issue, regardless of what it is, I would say, have you talked to the principal? Have you went to that school first? Have you went to, like, there's a chain of command and there's a ladder. I feel like that once all of those have been discussed, like the issue has been discussed too, then it would be my job to kind of say, hey, I've heard this is an issue. Have we done anything about it? Have y'all heard anything about it? But I feel like there's a chain of command that needs to be followed instead of just coming straight to the board. The superintendent, if she was to come and say that there's an issue here, here, and here, okay, well, let's work together, figure it out, let's fix it. But I do think there's a chain of command that needs to be followed to begin with at the school level.
All right. Linda?
I do recommend that a parent speak to the principal first. If the parent's not satisfied with that, then they need to call the superintendent. Meanwhile, I'll advise the superintendent of what I've been told, and again, we'll follow up to see that the parent is satisfied, which sometimes they're just not going to be satisfied, but to the best that I can.
All right. And James, your comments on that question.
Well, ultimately, why I decided to run was in large part because I don't believe that our board members listen to members of our community. So if anybody approaches me on any issue at all, the first thing I want to do is sit down and listen to them. I know there is a chain of command, but as members of the Board of Education, we're elected to serve our community, to serve the people who voted for us. And I want to make sure, if I'm elected, that everybody has access to me through cell phone, through email, whatever medium possible, so that they know that there is somebody who will listen to their concerns. And once I sit down and listen with them, then we'll work out a plan of action to ensure that their concerns are addressed.
All right. Next question. This one has to do as being a school board member. From whom will you seek advice or input and weighing key decisions that you would make? Linda, I think you're first. Yeah.
From whom do I seek advice? I do talk with the other board members. I talk to the superintendent. RESA is our Regional Education Service Agency, and they handle 13, I think, maybe more counties. So they have good advice. And if I can't get an answer from RESA, there is the State Department of Education.
Okay. James?
Well, ultimately, Scripture. My faith is very important to me. I understand there's a separation of church and state, but any issues I make will be done after prayerful consideration. On as far as any specific policy issues, I believe it's important to look for the what the state legislature has enacted. I think it's important to look at precedents in the past that have been created, and then again reaching out and hearing from members of the community about what they think should happen.
Okay. And Laurin?
If I was elected, I would really lean into the existing board members, to the board chair. I would really lean into the superintendent, get advice because they've been there. They have experience at it. I would kind of lean into the school administrators. They're more familiar with the education system than I am. I'm a parent of a child in the school system. There's things that I don't know. There's things I don't understand. But there's people that do, and I feel like they're very open. I can ask questions. I can, they would explain it to me to where I could understand it, to where it's not a bunch of jumbled up legal things. I think that that's what I would do. I would lean into the people that have been there and have experience.
Okay. Well, I think in order to get our time in here, if we get the closing comments from each of the candidates, then that can be our time to wrap it up for today. Remember, in your closing final comments, you get 3 minutes to share your views and comments, and then, of course, put your plug in for the folks to vote for you along the way. And we started off, I think, with James. We started off with James. So this time, Laurin, we'll let you start the closing comments off.
Okay. When it comes to this, I have to write everything down or I just get a big old bumbling mess. Again, I'd like to thank the White County Chamber of Commerce, White County News, and WRWH for hosting. Not being a politician and every aspect of this being new to me, I very much enjoyed meeting new people. I really enjoyed getting to know my fellow candidates, and I really enjoy being involved more in the community more than I was before. Like I said, I'm a mother. I've lived in White County my entire life. This county and community mean the absolute world to me. Children, their education, welfare, and innocence are my agenda. Supporting a healthy school system is my only platform. I want to make sure not only my daughters, but all of our children in the community receive the same quality education and support that I did. I want to make sure the teachers, school administration, and faculty know that they are supported. And remember, early voting starts Monday, May 2nd, with the primary election being held Tuesday, May 24th. I hope to have your support. And remember, the Board of Education seat is voted on county-wide, not by district.
Okay. Linda, we'll let you share your comments, final comments or closing comments today.
And I'm Linda Erbele, and I want to add to what Laurin said. Yes, it does start May the 2nd. There is no Democratic candidate, so the decision on the District 4 candidate, which is countywide, will be made in the primary election. So you need to vote Republican if you want any choice before May 24th or by May 24th. Again, I don't have any relatives attending the school, relatives employed by the school. I don't have an agenda or an axe to grind. I just offer balanced, experienced leadership representing parents, students, teachers, and taxpayers.
Okay. James, will you get the final word tonight?
Well, I'm James King, and Dean, I want to thank you again for having this debate tonight. I want to thank Beth Truelove and the White County News as well for having this forum this evening. Ultimately, again, I'm running to serve. I want to ensure that we fully protect our students, support our teachers, and promote transparency. I want to make sure that we hold our school officials accountable when needed, and that we work together to better our school district here in White County. I'm running to restore your voice and your values to our Board of Education. And so ultimately, I hope that on May 24th that you'll do the right thing and vote for James King.
Okay. Thank you, James. Well, I do appreciate, on behalf of the radio station, thank all of y'all for being here, participating, being a part of this particular event. And Beth, I'm going to turn it to you if you want to have a final comment here for this evening.
Thank you, Dean.
We were having trouble with your mic earlier. Let me see if we can get... All right. No, we'll get you another mic. We'll pull another mic over there for you. How about that? All right, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thanks, Dean. Yes, thank you so much, Dean, for hosting us here at the radio station. I know this is an unusual format for our candidates forums, but I appreciate everybody being flexible. I want to thank the White County News. Ashley's out with us today covering this forum. Workforce development is a key foundational issue for our chamber and for every business in White County. So I want to encourage each of you candidates to understand that as you make decisions for these children, it's these children, these teachers, these parents, and it's the businesses that support our system as well when you make these decisions. And I will tell anybody who asks me, we have one of the best school systems in the state of Georgia, and it certainly makes my job in economic development a whole lot better when I have a great and skilled workforce. So I thank you all for taking your time and taking the effort to run as a candidate, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thanks, you guys.
Okay. And, of course, we give Ashley, you have any comments you want to make on behalf of the newspaper, or?
Buy a subscription. Don't forget your subscription to the White County News.
Well, we do appreciate you, coming and joining in, being a part of this here today. All right. Now, this completes the candidate forum for White County Board of Education, the District 4 candidates we've had here today. Again, our thanks to Laurin Terry, James King, and Linda Erbele for being here, participating, and showing up and answering all these questions. And just a reminder as we go, we wanted to share with you the fact that this is the first of two candidate forums. We have a candidate forum coming up on Thursday. At that particular time, we'll be talking with candidates for White County Board of Commission here in the county. So we have the Board of Education and the Board of Commission candidates that are running this year, and the primary election coming up on May 24th. So keep that in mind, folks. That will do it for this evening. Again, thank you from WRWH, White County News, and White County Chamber of Commerce joining us for Candidate Forum here on WRWH 93.9 FM, AM 1350, and joining us online, however you got to us, Facebook, or listening to us online as well.